Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Winners Circle Sports Betting Podcast here on Friday, July the 19th. I always got to look down. I don't know what day it is today. Sponsored by GamblersWorld.net, where you can find myself and Chipper here and 9 other top-rated handicappers, not just from Major League Baseball, that's going on right now, but NFL, college football, basketball, NBA, even soccer. We cover it all for you here at GamblersWorld.net. And please be sure to hit the like button. Here we go. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and now we got 14 subscribers. This is how I'm going to start out the show all the time. That's going to be my little MO here. Try to get us to 15,000. I say December. I really want it by September. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a Friday. It's me and Chipper. Oh, Chip, just so you know, it's second half of Major League Baseball, which means we're going to roll out a nice little special here, $4.29 for the rest of the season at GamblersWorld.net for baseball. And that's all the plays everybody gets starting today on Friday. I got a 3-pack up. I don't know what Chip has. He'll tell you what he's got all the way through the World Series. It's not a couple games. You get the whole kit and caboodle through October for just $4.29. Can't beat that. And as always, 3, 7, and 30-day packages are guaranteed, which means if we don't show profit over that time, we credit you back. And then if I fail you, you can jump on Chipper or Matt Fargo, any capper you like, Kyle Hunter. We got a bunch of them to choose from. But very rare we have losing streaks like that. You know, we have up and down days. Yesterday was a great day. I had nothing. So it was a nice winning day for everybody involved yesterday. But yeah, Chip, how you been?
Yeah.
What's going on? It's been a while since we talked college football yesterday.
Yeah, really. And well, you know, having 4 days rest is really, really a break mentally for you. And I feel refreshed and ready to go. Although I was kind of sorry to see the All-Star break come because we were doing so well. 20-4 were our last 24 megabuck releases. Those are our big games, of course. And overall, we've just been hitting it at 67% for the last month. So we're going to sit here and come up with more baseball. Looking forward to the football, like you said, college football, and NFL starts within 4 weeks. And just raring to go right now, Sean.
I see you're up 22 hundos the last 30 days of Major League Baseball. Not too bad. I don't know. You know, it's crazy because you say you're up 22, people are like, oh, it's not good. Like, that's a nice little run, baseball season.
Yeah.
You know, I've been all right. The season, I've been up the entire season. The rankings, I don't know where I'm on the Gamblers World because it somehow still has last year's numbers involved in it. But it says here up 3,500 the last 60 days. So that's basically half of the first half. And I know I'm up around 2,200 for the entire season based on other sites that we're on together and stuff like that. So not a bad first half. Hopefully it continues. I find that it gets a little tricky this time of year. Like sometimes it happens in June, sometimes July, sometimes maybe a little August. I feel like I hit I don't say a rut, but I'll lose a little more of my dogs because I am a dog player. I'm going to jump on a bunch of, where now we're out of the All-Star break. Who coasted into the All-Star break because they know they're getting traded, the team's out of it, mindset the team's going forward, guys are on the block. So I think this is like pre-All-Star. I think this is these next 2 weeks. I know they moved the trading deadline's now like August 1st as opposed to the 31st or whatever. I think you should tread a little lightly based on, guys are could be weighing on them. Like, the guys in Chicago, always that guy's like, am I getting traded out of here? What are we doing here? Who's the trade bait? Stuff like that. I don't know. I think you have to kind of look at it as, hey, don't jump into things that looks very easy. This guy could get traded today. They pull him out of a start. I don't know. That's the way I look at baseball for the next 3 weeks. I don't know.
I agree with you, Sean. I think it's a little tricky coming out of the All-Star games. Guys have had a couple of days off. Some have actually taken mini vacations, just getting a complete mental break from the game. And sometimes you just don't know how they come back. And I agree with you about treading lightly for a week or 6-7 days to find out exactly how teams have accumulate? How do they come back? The season's almost 2/3 over. I mean, these Yankees have played 100 games, and now it's crunch time. Teams like Houston and teams like Texas last year that won the World Series are really going to have to show what they have in the second half of the season. There's no more fooling around. There's no more let's wait and develop. And they have to come now. And baseball season is going to be interesting, and we have everything else flowing with it as well.
Yeah, Hall of Fame game in a couple weeks. But you mentioned the
Right.
Yanks, and that's where we'll be looking at for you today. You got Tampa Bay taking on the Yankees at Coles. Zach Eflin getting a nod. Listen, Tampa Bay, a little down year by their standards, as good
Right.
as they usually are. But it made sense. They first of all they traded Gabe Cavalli. They start trading pitchers away where I'm like, I want as many pitchers on my staff as possible if I think I'm going to
Right.
go on some kind of playoff run.
Well,
But Baz was hurt. Josh Bradley's been decent. McClanahan. So this isn't your typical Tampa team. We've talked about this in the past. That the pitching, the bullpen's been questionable. Hitters. I got to say, the Yankees, and we used to get on this. I get on with Ross. I call them the dollar store shoppers with JD Davis bringing in here. And they need to make some moves. Are they going to be huge moves? Cole's a little shaky. Again, he didn't pitch. Then he comes in. Last game, 1 run. Before that, 4 runs. 1 run, 6 runs, 2 runs. You're doing this game. I think the Yankees need pitching. I think they probably need some hitting too. But we're, side total. Where are you looking at this game and your thoughts?
well,
Hold on a second. Yankees, by the way, a 170 fave
right.
today. 170. Run line's about a plus 125, and the total is 8. I mean, I can't lay that number with Cole right now, but that's just me. Go ahead.
Sean, when you see a 170 out there, that always turns me off to a game as it is, and laying the runs are always tough for me because baseball is such a game. A 4-3, a 5-4 game is not uncommon, and I hate to get caught in the switches. The Yankees, who were up $3,100 at one time this year at $100 per unit, they're now at plus 440. So they've really had their doldrums. And like you said, this year with Tampa Bay, they're not quite the same as they've been in the past. At least it appears this way competitively. They're 48-48 on the year. They're the same on the road, 21-21. But they're minus like $750. Now today they have Zach Eflin, Eflin, going on a mound. He's been around a while. He's 5-6 this year. His ERA is 3.99. He has pitched well against the Yankees in his career, though, a 3-2 with a 1.50 ERA. He has 48 strikeouts in 42 innings. So the Yankees having trouble making contact with him. And, like you said, the Yankee lineup has some holes. I mean, they've got a problem at third
Some
base.
first base,
Problems
third base.
catching, third base, and second base. Even people think I'm not a big Torres fan. But Kermit Cole, like you said, gave up 1 hit last time out. And it's 2-1 like this year with an ERA over 5. 4-7 lifetime against Tampa. His ERA is 3.77, but he does have 167 strikeouts in 116 innings. So what it appears to me right here, coming out of the box, I think with these two effective pitchers against their opponents, particularly striking out a large number of opponents, I'm looking for this game to stay under the total. Now, Sean, that's not going to help if Holmes comes in and just pours gasoline on the fire. And then when he's closing the games, he's been a major disappointment in so many spots for the Yankees. That's why I have a hard time confidence in laying runs with the Yankees or even the money line with them. Um, the Yankees have gone 4-6 to the over, while these two teams against each other are going 3-7 to the over. So I'm looking for this game to stay under. And coming out of the break, maybe it'll take them a little while to catch their timing back. I know Judge has been slumping the last 2 weeks, which has hurt the Yankee lineup. Soto, of course, he's been pretty consistent. But like I said, the rest of that
Yes.
Yankee lineup has a lot of holes in it. And I don't think they're going to score runs in bunches. They may, but I would play this game under.
Well, it's Judge Soto, and then you had a partial season of Stanton, which is the problem.
Whew.
But where are the Yankees hitters coming from? And
And
go ahead.
they're trying everything. They tried Lemieux at first base now, and he is just not the same player that he has been in the past. He's always been a great at the plate, and he's the type of hitter the Yankees actually needs because they're all or nothing. They're a home run or nothing. He's the type
Yeah.
of player that's going to get a base hit and set runners on base and put people in motion. And if he was hitting up around 280 instead of 180, it might be a little more competitive. But the Yankees, they had their great run at the beginning of the year. There were 31 games over 500. Since then, they've only won 7 games, and I think they've lost 24, so are in around 23. But
Yeah.
their scoring and their pitching has become a little bit more consistent, and I mean they're pitching out of the bullpen.
I was going to say they are 21 and 23. Talk about laying a 170 and say, oh, just do run line with the Yankees. It's a big day, Yankees. 21 and 23 at home on a run line because they don't score runs.
Right.
It's a two-man team.
They got 2 big power guys, and you can work around the rest of that lineup. I mean, sometimes people come up and they'll surprise you and they'll have a good day. After all, they are major leaguers. They have some kind of talent that they be there. But overall, I don't think this Yankee team is as strong as they might appear right now.
No, well, I didn't think they were going to be strong when they started the year.
Right.
The fact they could have got Snell on a bargain deal, they did not sign him. Now, Snell's not been great, and that's
right.
That's fine. That's what happens. You don't pitch. You pitch in September, and you don't pitch because your agent doesn't want you to sign, and you don't throw a game until you come to the majors. You don't have a bullpen session. You come up and start a game at Major League level, you're going to get shelled and then go on the injured list. That's what happened.
Yeah.
But the fact they didn't even try to sniff him to put him in, that was after Cole got hurt. You think Louis Hughes was going to come out and be that good in 1985 and go 20-4 or something with a 1.92 ERA? Yeah, how's he been lately with his, he's over his career innings pitch. How don't they go out and make a move? It's terrible. And you mentioned LeMahieu. He's just a long line of free agent signs. I go back to Giambi with the Yanks. Like, let's get rid of Tino, who proved he could hit here, 280s, 290s, 30, 40 home runs. He could thrive at Yankee Stadium. He was fine. But they want the big name. They bring in the Giambino, who goes from like a 280 power hitter to like 230.
Yeah.
And here comes LeMahieu, his first year, a 327, 364 in COVID. Now he can't hit 260. He's hit a $188 in limited games. This is just ridiculous. I don't want to hear it's like, oh, the pitchers are so much better. No, they're not. The pitchers are terrible.
I think you can see that LeMahieu is different at the plate than he has been in the past.
This guy was on his way to the Hall of Fame. He was probably on his way to the Hall of Fame in today's baseball, hitting 320 because no one hits more than 250.
I know.
But here he is at 36. He's done. He's done.
I just saw an article about you remember we used to call the Mendoza line?
The Mendoza line, yes.
Yeah, now that's the standard.
Yeah. That was it. Who was he on? Was he on the Indians back in the day, Mendoza? What did that?
I think he kicked around a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, Chip here. We talk about the Mendoza line. I mean, people are like, "What is that?" That was. I remember that. That was like the 200 batting average.
Yeah, it was about 200. If he hit 200 or below the Mendoza line,
guys who hit 270, like Dave Kibben was like a 270 hitter who hit 38 homers. He was terrible. He would be an icon today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Chip's loving the under. Doesn't seem all that bad,
Yeah, 240. 240, like a 240 power hitter was like, all right, that was like your kind of DH guy, right? It was kind of like your big kind of DH would hit 240. And maybe not 40, but back in the 80s, it was like 25, 30 homers was your big power guy, right? Because in the 90s, we had more guys hitting 30, 40 homers, the explosions and stuff. But
those numbers fit perfectly for the Mets' Alonso. I mean, he's going to hit these 40 home runs or more, but he's not going to hit more than 220, 230, and that's the way it is nowadays.
I think he's better than a 240 hitter. I like Alonso. I think he's pretty solid.
I understand, but you check his numbers out. He just really
is he that bad
contact.
This year?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Like, I'm not a Met backer. I'm not a fan. I lead to the. Our guys in the Bronx.
Sean. You don't have to be.
I can cheer a guy on, but I don't know. Here's his numbers. Yeah, he's hitting 240 this year.
Yeah. And I think he hit less last year.
217 last year. But but his first year, 260, 50 homers. COVID was I don't count the COVID year. 262, 37, 270, 40. Last year, 217, 46, 240 this year, 19. Listen, if you're going to give me an average between like 240 and 270 and hit 40 homers.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't care what generation. That could be in the 90s, 2000. Yeah. That's not a bad one. You'll take that.
And those numbers were up to people like Dave Nicholson and Dave Kingman, if you remember. And they weren't considered really good ball players, although they'd be hitting 240 with 40 home runs. And nowadays, like I said, it's you're an all-star.
It's funny when you go back and look at. I mean, I'm an '80s kid. I was born in '74, so I see this. I don't really know all the '70s numbers. I can do the '80s numbers. The 90s numbers were ridiculous because midway through they said, you know what, nobody's watching our sport because of the strike. We need to do something. And they kind of said, oh, if guys are on whatever the juice. And let's be honest, if hitters were on it, you darn well knew the pitchers were taking stuff too. So it wasn't like it was, Bonds, McGuire. So it wasn't like those 5 guys were taking steroids. Allegedly. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but I don't think it equates from pitchers to hitters because you had hitters like Brady, the guy from Baltimore.
Brady Anderson had
51 home runs.
But here's the thing, though, Chip. He did that and then nothing. Like he had 1 year. Don't tell me that makes you a better player. It doesn't. You might have a flash in the pan kind of season,
right?
But that's not taking an elite player like Bonds or listen. You could say David Ortiz didn't do it. David Ortiz, Manny, Palmeiro, all these guys. Even Palmeiro, I don't know, because he was like a contact more guy, 17 homers with the Cubbies. He was a great hitter, so maybe that gave him the extra power to get out. But dude, McGuire, you saw him young doing well. Bonds was an MVP way beforehand. Sheffield was good before the cream. I mean, these guys were already elite. You saw them go just to a stratosphere. That's the difference between an average player taking it, say – Brady Anderson, or maybe like somebody like Sean Green who comes out of nowhere to 40 home run seasons,
Sean, that very silently, baseball has ostracized Sammy Sosa, and here's a guy that hit more than 60 home runs 3 different seasons, and none of those seasons did he win the home run title.
Yeah.
And the moment they put in testing into Major League Baseball, it was like he was swinging a telephone pole. They sent him to the Dodgers, and he just couldn't catch up to the ball.
Yeah, I don't think Sosa is a Hall of Fame guy. I think he's strictly a juice guy.
Yeah,
Bonds, I think there's no question. Bonds was like, what the hell's going on here? These guys are no. I'm the best player.
Bonds got jealous of McGuire because he was already a Hall of Fame player.
I mean, he's like, no way, I'm better than these guys. And because listen, when you're that egotistical, and you have to be the best at your game. You got to be a total ego sociopath where it's just I'm the best ever. What do you think that's going to do? Like, what? I'm better than these guys. Who the heck are you? No, you're not better than me. Yeah. You're not. I mean, the guy walked 200 times in the season. Bases loaded. We're up by 2 runs. Oh, walk them. Who cares? We'll take a chance with who's ever up next with 2 outs.
And we're talking about the major league, Sean. This isn't like Little League Baseball where you would do it.
Yeah. Listen,
dominant year. He was very dominant, but it was pretty obvious that he goes from 38 homers to 73. So,
Chip officially here on the under 8 as we went into LeMahieu being terrible from a Hall of Fame career down to Bonds is just a monster, and Sammy Sosa shouldn't be a Hall of Famer because he's strictly a juicer. Sorry, Sammy. Sorry, Cubs fans. Speaking of cheaters. We got the Astros. They like to bang on garbage cans and steal signs and wear little buzzers on their thing. Don't tell me. Listen, Houston, you were banging on it. We saw it. Altuve wouldn't let him take off the shirt. What is this about? I don't want to hear about you're cheated. You got caught. It happens. And you know what? If you're not trying to cheat, you're not trying, right? Isn't that the thing? Steal signs. Granted, the extra camera in the outfields for teams who do that. It's such a split-second decision. The guy still has to make contact. So they did what they did. Whatever. Sorry, Astros fans. I got a lot of hate.
If you let Altuve know what's coming, this guy's going to be. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer as it is, and he's a great hitter and ball player overall. But I was disappointed, like you, when that happened. It came down. It really hurt me because as a baseball player, stealing signs is one thing, and tipping signs is another. But stealing signs with electronic equipment is totally different. And these guys will show you if they know what's coming, what they're going to do, and they're that good. And, so
listen, you see the pitchers. The pitchers always have like the stuff on them, and I don't mind. Listen, that's part of the game,
right?
That's been around forever, right? I mean, we see. The Negros are. It's funny; those guys are in the Hall of Fame. Literally, sandpaper flying out of their pockets.
Yeah.
But Bonds, Clemens, you're mean to us. You can't be in the Hall of Fame. A-Rod, no. But these guys are literally caught on video cheating in the Hall of Fame.
Gaylord Perry. I mean, it was another one that.
The scuffers.
Till they caught up with him.
And scuff it up. The pitcher does not have the edge, really. I go for the movement. I don't hate it. Speaking of guys who might be scuffing. Hunter Brown, a big turnaround from the start of the year here. He's on the hill, and I like Hunter Brown. I got a Hunter Brown. He signed a Sugarland Space Cowboy minor league jersey for us down here when we went to one of the games. So they are an underdog today versus Castillo in Seattle, -110. Total of 7. Oh, man. You're on the under. I'm going to be on the under here as well. It's an under day. It's an under day here. Again, coming out of the break, Stroh's a little banged up. Tucker didn't play in the All-Star game. Altuve, Yordi, they've been a little suspect on offense. Yeah, they have a great team batting average. It's fabulous. But again, it's all 2-out hits that account for nothing. Castillo, what's there to say about Castillo? He's a professional guy. You're going to get what you get out of him.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to go 6 or 7. The thing is here at home, he's got decent numbers, 229 batting average, and I'm a whip guy, 104 whip, solid. Hunter Brown is rolling along as bad as he was early, and he's got a bad road ERA, but early April, 5 runs at Texas, 5 at Kansas City, and he just gave up 7 a couple weeks ago to Minnesota on the road. Other than that, take away that Minnesota start, 2 of his last 13 games, so 11 games, less than 3 runs. So he's only given up 3 or more runs in 2 of the last 13. So this is the guy we saw at the beginning of last year when he came up, not where he kind of hit a wall. Him and JP France kind of got tired. And again, young pitcher, long season, it catches up to you. He started out a little slow. He's been fabulous. Seattle does not hit. I mean, this team, if this team had any offense, they'd be up in this division by 18, 19 games. They can't hit the side of a barn with the big red wiffle ball bat. Give me the under here. I think we got 2 solid pitchers. And lineup-wise, until Seattle shows me something, I don't think they're going to get runs off of decent pitching. Hunter Brown's a decent pitcher.
Yeah,
Maybe under 7.
His stuff is electric, and the Astros really look forward to his future for sure. Castillo, like I said, he's been there a long time. He's a veteran, 8 and 9 this year already.
Yeah.
2-1 against Houston, but this, like you said, this Houston team, they've gone over the total only 2 of their previous 10 games. They've lost their last 2. Seattle's lost their last 3 coming in. Both these teams are a minus on the year for money, for money won. And I'm wondering, is Houston all of a sudden going to become big boys and put on their long pants and come out and play tough in the second half? We know they have the pedigree. They've been hurt this year with injuries. They've cut top players. Arabu, excuse me.
Abreu, first baseman.
Yeah, Rabu, was that his name?
Hideki Arabu. Yeah.
And yeah. I'm sorry about that, gang, because it happens all the time.
It's Abreu. Yeah, no, they signed him to whatever big contract, and he was terrible.
Yeah, he gave him 1 year. That was it. But Sean, today is July 19th, and there was something I talked about a week ago with you, and we discussed milestones in baseball. And one of them was Cy Young in 1901 winning his 300th game. Well, in the next 9 years, on this date, he won his 500th game, which means he averaged 22 wins a season during those 9 years. And there's a couple other interesting facts. As we had mentioned, Babe Ruth a week ago had initiated his first game in the major leagues as a pitcher at 17. He currently, in 1920, hit his 30th home run, which at that time it had established the major league record. He went on to hit 54 for the season, which again, he broke the following year. 2 other really quick notes, Sean. Bob Feller at 17 in 1936 made his debut. Elston Howard, the first black player for the New York Yankees in 1950. 1973, Willie Mays played his 24th All-Star game. And this other one, just 1975, I've got Thurman Munson doing wonderful things for the New York Yankees. But this is July 19th.
Hold on. Is this the Thurman Munson plane crash day today? Did he crash Did he crash during the season or preseason?
During the season he crashed, and it was on August 2nd, I think was the date. But this was the date in 1976 in which the Yankees were 14 full games behind the Red Sox and came on, and not only they beat the Red Sox, and then I think they lost to Kansas City in the 1978 World Series. But July 19th, that's it for you. I'm sorry to interrupt the flow here, Sean, but I wanted to...
No, I forgot to roll that out early.
Because we had the Cy Young mentioning 300 games in 1901 and the Babe Ruth initiating into baseball at 17 as a pitcher. And those are kind of milestones in baseball. And Bob Feller, who pitched the only pitcher to pitch a no-hitter on opening day, was only 17 when he came in, and he was a fireballer.
Listen, Feller... obviously before my time, but in the 80s, you had the Strawberry come up really young, Doc Gooden, right? Clemens at 20, whatever he was.
Yeah.
And you see, I guess we're getting that with Paul Skeens. We saw it a little bit with Bryce Harper as a first-round young teenager.
No.
But it's for many of those there are so many busts. Like I remember at the time in the 90s, I'm like, wow, let's go back to like number one first-round picks, like the number all draft pick. And like Harold Baines was the only guy who actually produced anything for a lot of those years.
Yeah, I think baseball is harder to predict than any of the other sports. We've had major failures at quarterbacks or Ryan Leaf and things along those lines in football and basketball. They had that center drafted from out of UNLV who just couldn't make it. But baseball, I think, is the toughest because hitting is not easy, and you'll see that even the best baseball players that they sign now. This Skeens is sort of an anomaly. They take 2-3 years in the minor leagues, even longer, to develop to be able to hit that major league level pitching.
Yeah, well, let's see what Skeens is. I mean, how many times we saw Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor? You thought Cub fans thought, "Hey, we're going to go to a World Series. We're going to be great," and then what happens? You're done.
And Kerry Wood struck out 19, Seattle Mariners or whatever
it was. Like 20. I think he had 20 Ks in that game.
Yeah, 20. And these guys, I hate to say they're flash in the pan because they were a lot better than that. It's just that things happen in your career, especially the pitchers. The pitchers get a little sore shoulder, and their whole career is different. I mean, I would say like Frank Tanana turned into, he was a fireballer. He turned into what we call the cunny thumber, where he was just throwing breaking pitch after breaking pitch after his surgery. One of the very few that was able to make that major adjustment from being a major league power pitcher to being a junk baller. And Tanana is the first guy that comes to my mind when that happens. Frank
Tanana.
Yeah.
He was a Tiger.
Angel.
Was he an Angel too?
Yeah.
I know he went to the Mets, and he was definitely goes to the Yankees. Definitely Yankee past his prime. Typical 1989 Yankees. These Yankee fans, bro, like 88 to 92 Yankees. Oscar Azokar, just terrible. Scott Kamenicki. I remember like Jeff Johnson, Scott Kamenicki, and who's the other one? Maybe Greg Cadaret was supposed to be like their trifecta of like young starting pitch. I'm like, oh my goodness, what a mess. What a mess. Stump Merrill. All right, listen. So I was going to say I want to jump on the Mariner game real quick here. Back to the series. 2-7-1 to the under. The last 10 in this series. On the year, Houston 54-38 to the under, 51-41 to the under for Seattle. So Seattle's in a hit all year. The pitching's been solid at home. The pitching's been it's been excellent. And Houston again, junk ball pitchers, a bunch of 5-inning guys. I know Scherzer's back, but again, he goes tomorrow. How many? I said Scherzer, Verlander. He's out if he comes back? How many innings he throws? It's a 5-inning staff. Houston's they better go after some pitching here.
These guys used to be workhorses.
They need pitching, like every team at the deadline. I want all arms on deck. I want any kind of pitch. I don't care. You can never have too many pitchers. Those things about crappy Yankee teams in the early 90s, the great teams in the late 90s, they were like 6 and 7 starting pitchers deep. They just – and they were all veterans. Nobody – it was just
I agree with you, Sean. I think the pitching depth is important. And like you said, 6 or 7 starters, what a blessing because there were teams, that used – say back in the day, you'd get Don Drysdale to come in and finish a game off, or Juan Marichal, even Koufax if they needed it. They weren't afraid to take these big game starters and bring them and have them close in these games before the closer became vogue in baseball.
Yep. And it's just again, I'll yell at. I'll be the old man yell at clouds. I miss those kind of stuff. Let the guys throw the ball. It's funny. I saw something they talked about. Blake Snell was on Twitter. He's got 2 Cy Youngs, right? Yeah. Never threw a complete game. Never got into, And Nolan Ryan has what does he have? How many no hitters?
7.
He's pitched a bunch of 1-hitters. Right?
I think about 15.
Struck out like 1-hitters into like the 12th inning, like just ridiculous nonsense.
Yeah,
hundreds of 300 strikeouts a year. No Cy Youngs.
Yeah. And, he pitched 376 innings one year and came back and did the same thing the following year. I mean,
but these guys are better athletes today.
Yeah, right. Come on.
The guy pitched till he was 46 and he struck out. Hey, look at his last year. I think he struck out 250 guys or something.
And it gets me, Sean, is the moment these guys have a bad day, all of a sudden they're on the disabled list or the injured list for 10 days. They have a bad outing, and
Oh
there's
my
always like an
goodness.
excuse for them, you know?
Unbelievable. I told you, these guys back in the 70s, like, oh, we'll pitch 57 games, go work at Sears, smoke a carton of Camels, no filters, come back in spring training, do a home run derby for $100 for nonsense. Like, it was, oh, man. Anyway, all right, listen. Chips on the under. I like under Yankees chipper, under Astros for me. The second half of Major League Baseball, there it's right up top here, $429 for anybody. If you just want a sampler, you want to try us out for the weekend, 3-day pass is perfect for you. You want to do a 30-day and get a little preseason NFL in the little kitty there, 3 730-day packages, all guaranteed, which means if we don't show you a profit, here's a credit back. And then, hey, you're not on the leaderboard, but so-and-so is. There's 11 of us. We win. We come on here every day, 5 days a week at least, with our free pick show. Football Fridays, the live show will be back for Football Fridays, obviously during football season. We'll bring that up probably like mid-August. We'll get into that. But going forward, we did talk a little football yesterday. Probably another week or two, we'll probably dive into some individual. I'll talk to Chipper and Doug and the crew and say, hey, what team do you like? We'll just come in, talk a couple teams. It'll be a short little maybe 10-minute win-loss kind of thing. So we got football coming up. That's why I say subscribe to the channel. Notification bells on. You can follow us on Twitter. We got Twitter, the Twitter universe, X. I don't like calling it X, but it is what it is. But for Chip, for myself, Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast, and GamblersWorld.net, please give it a like, follow, come support the show. I know I appreciate it. Leave a comment. Who knows what it's going to be? I know we're going to have some angry people. It happens. Stick around now. Football season right around the corner. Have a happy and good winning Friday. Good luck, everybody. Chip, I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Sean.
Bye-bye.